sing this next song about anything at all.
Welcome, any and all, to the Monday edition of Dreaming in Paradox. I'm your host, John Olson.
I'm your host, Jose Venutolo.
And joining us for the first day this week is Briana Redmount.
Hello.
Briana is an actress. You can find her on Twitter at @bredmount, or you can look up her website, her actor's website, get her reels and such, at www.brianaredmount.com.
We'll put it down there.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there.
I gotta say too, we got listeners. Some
Yes.
people, they don't look at it.
It's true. Oh God.
Don't forget, you can
Such
find
a
us on
bad host.
iTunes.
You can.
Some people prefer it.
Yeah.
You listen to iTunes,
I
don't you?
listen to it on iTunes.
There you
Briana's
go.
already a subscriber.
Yeah, of course.
She's helping us out.
She doesn't like the faces, so she goes like,
Yeah, she's
I'm gonna
like, I
listen
don't
to
wanna
it.
look at
Yeah,
that.
it's like I don't want to look at that.
Doesn't care about graphic tees.
No,
Uh,
definitely not.
Never.
Not those things.
There
So,
you go.
Briana, you like the theater,
If you will, yes.
if I will, and I will. Yeah, you like the theater. Most of your acting cred is in the theater, correct?
Correct.
You've done a few short films and
I
such.
have, yes, definitely.
You've been in one of our films,
Yes, the 48 Film Festival.
48-hour
48-hour
Film
Film Festival.
a little masterpiece called Chasing Tail.
Chasing tail.
In this case, it was a pun.
It was a
Yes.
pun.
It was a pun.
I am not the tail.
It's not the tail.
She's not a tail.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Oh, damn. We're not in the movie already. Like, oh, God. They're going to go like, oh,
Can they even
don't
find
know.
that thing anywhere? We
Yeah,
should.
probably. It's probably on it's on the website.
It's on what website?
And on the Vimeo website, on the Vimeo page.
It's
Yeah,
on.
but I think it was under password.
And we never. Yeah.
Oh, we need
it's
to
on-
free it for everybody to see it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll
Right.
free it. Maybe bonus content or something.
For a price.
Maybe it'll be a secret.
Maybe.
But anyway, so you've done a little screen work, mostly theater work.
next to...
So for our starter topic, we wanted to talk about the theater. Specifically, we've all have a bit of experience being theater
We all.
geeks.
Yes, it's true.
Before we graduated high school, we all had a bit of theater experience. So today's topic is our experiences in theater before adulthood.
Before
adulthood, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
not as adults, but as kids.
Definitely englobes a nice amount of,
Yeah, as we once.
young theater.
Yeah.
Before it was too serious.
Do you want to take us away, or?
Sure. I mean, I come from a very, I don't know, theater fans. I come from a family of theater fans. My dad did it. My mom also loves the theater. And so, like, from a very young age, I was listening to Les Mis on CD and other things. For birthdays, we would get soundtracks for musicals.
I mean, who doesn't?
Who
It's
doesn't?
Like, yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
And we're like,
It's like,
yes, we got the Music Man! But
see my laugh.
and so,
Okay, sorry.
but I guess when I first started doing theater, it was like at summer camp, and we did a lot of musical theater. The first thing, the big like full length musical I was in was Guys and Dolls. I don't know if you
Guys
know
and Dolls?
Guys and Dolls.
I do not know that one.
It's an oldie. The
seems very Latin
movie's
American.
got Frank Sinatra in it.
I've seen like the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
I caught it midway through.
Guys
So
and
many of my
Dolls.
stories about movies are like, I saw half.
Is it chauvinistic? And, like...
Totally.
Guys
Totally?
and Dolls?
Guys and Dolls?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
it sounds
It's
like
kind of
comes
about
from, down there.
Gangsters and their women, but of course set in a musical theater world. So
That's
the
awesome.
gangsters are not at all
I
threatening.
gotta say, Guys and Dolls does have one of my favorite songs in a musical,
Which one's
Oh,
that?
really?
which is the Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat.
Sit down,
Down,
you're
sit
rocking,
down.
sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, You're Rocking the Boat. It's fun.
It's
a fun song. It's near the end, and
You know
they're
what?
all at like,
I'll look
what are
for
they?
it.
Some kind of like
They're
AA meeting or something
yeah,
crazy like
it's
that?
a
There's an
church
AA
group.
meeting?
No, they're
Oh.
a church group.
A church group.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad.
They're at a mission.
Oh, like in some other countries like that kind of mission.
Kind of. It's like old New York. Like they're just trying to save the dirt of New York.
Gotcha.
So it's a love story between this famous gangster for them, gangster, I don't know, gambler or something, and the head of that church.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Two
It's a
very
comedy.
unlikely characters to come together,
Oh.
which is always the case that they will come together.
And I played Sarah, who is the girl that falls in love with the
Oh,
boy.
the ingenue.
So I was a
Right?
Jewish missionary.
You are a
But,
Jewish missionary.
But anyway, so that was one of my first things, and then in high school I really got into theater, and I did a lot of musical theater. My school didn't have a straight theater program; it was always musicals. And then for after school activities, I did operas.
Oh wow!
So
You have range then.
yes, I'm not an opera singer per se, but it was.
But you have a little experience.
I have a little
there.
experience. We were in the chorus. It was fun. Yeah. And then because of that, all that stuff, like I was constantly doing theater in high school. And so I decided to go to school for it.
Do you have a ballpark of like how many shows you were in? Do you remember the exact numbers?
There was one musical per year in high school. So that's 4.
Like a big number.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't in it. So 3. Freshman year, I wasn't in it. I didn't make it.
Oh no!
So 3. And then
it's hard to be a
there's
freshman.
about 2 operas a year. So
Did you do any
8.
outside of school? Like
The
in community
operas and
or anything?
stuff.
Okay,
and
those were.
were community. So that's like 11, right? Yeah, so 8 plus 3 is 11. And then I did summer shows every year. So that was about 4 or 5.
That is a lot.
So I did a lot just in high school. When I auditioned for where I went to school at OU, my future professor looked at my resume and she looked at me and she's like, "You've been in this many things?" And I was like, "Yeah, isn't everybody?" Like, because that's what me and my friends
what
did.
happens.
Yeah.
It was like,
So-
oh my God, it's too few. I'm so sorry. I knew I need to do more.
I needed to do more.
Oh my God, who needs
If only I had gotten
vacations?
that freshman year in music.
Yeah, freshman year musical. But yeah, so
Any favorites?
favorites that I was in.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, I'll start with an
Yeah,
opera.
what were some of them?
La Boheme
La
is
Boheme.
very famous.
Indeed, it is.
We got to do that, which was a lot of fun. Don Giovanni was a lot of fun too. That one's this I guess both of them are sad, but that one's more serious.
Alright.
And then I guess musicals, we got to do Les Mis actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
You got to do it.
So I was in a bunch of
So epic.
Who were you
Yeah.
in the Miss?
My big solo was do you know it? You know the show?
I know the show, yeah.
When Fantine works at the factory and she's reading her letter and somebody steals it and gets her fired and stuff.
Okay.
I played the girl that gets her fired.
Oh.
So-
So people will not like you. People will
Yeah.
like, giving you the evil eye.
But then I got to do a lot of, you change characters every other scene.
Yeah,
you
you
get
get to
to
be in the
not
big
one of
numbers.
the main characters. So.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody sees you in another scene. It's like, I saw you in the other scene. You're
Yeah.
a bad girl. You got the other nice girl fired.
Yeah, so
Which led to her demise.
Yeah, that's your
Which
demise.
led-
Spoiler alert.
Oh wow, demise.
yeah.
Your words.
I guess those are my favorites.
Those
that
are
I've
the- those are the
done,
big
at least in
ones.
high
Nice.
school and stuff.
You got a lot. You got a lot on me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like-
I'll save yours for last.
Okay. 'Cause I don't have a lot. Mine is in Spanish, so.
Well,
Your experience is so different from mine because
Yeah.
Rich too.
we did have a theater program.
that's
It
right.
was small. So we also had musicals. I was not in any of the musicals. Not a singer in any respect. No, like zero vocal training. That's actually not true. That's slightly a lie.
Oh.
When I was in junior high, there were like 2 years we did a summer camp that was called Junior Theater. And this was in San Diego. It was in Balboa Park. They have these like beautiful old mission style like classrooms and stuff. And so we'd go there for like, it was like a day camp. We'd go in the morning. It was like school. But it was all theater stuff.
Yeah.
And so we did have to do some musical and some dance numbers, but also just some regular acting. So that was a mixed bag. So I did have a little tiny bit of musical training there. It didn't stick too well. But yeah, then in high school, like none. So in high school, I was just in theater. Yeah, I was in like, it was pretty nerdy. It was drama. I was in drama club.
Yeah. So nerdy.
And we created a club. We created an improv club, me and a few friends of mine. There was probably about, not quite a dozen of us that like just wanted to play improv games, like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Whose Line Is It Anyway? Yeah.
That was popular when I was in high school, the Whose Line Is It Anyway, with Drew Carey.
Yeah.
And then reruns with the British guy. I don't know what his name was.
Yes.
What his name was for the British version.
Yeah. So we like had to petition to the principal so that we could get the classroom after hours and like have a teacher on board. And we had to like come up with a way to make it sound academic. So, you know, we put some effort into it. And then we created the improv club. That was in my freshman year, I think, that we did
cool.
that. So that was fun.
That's pretty
And
cool.
we had some good times on that. We used the drama room. It had like this dinky little excuse for a stage, you know, like a foot raised, or not even a foot, like a 4-inch raised platform. And then I was in a couple plays. I was in Pygmalion.
Oh wow.
Which is, for those of you who don't know, it is the non-musical My Fair Lady.
Yes.
I was a street urchin in the opening act. I remember me and my friend Dan at the time. I knew a lot of Dans in high school, so I could use that phrase. A number of different people. My friend Dan, me and my friend Dan were urchins together, and we were like commenting on the main character's shoes. He was like, he's a narc. He's a Kappa's narc. That's why I learned what a narc is. Look at his shoes.
Do you like?
My
we had a
sister
few lines.
was in My
Do
Fair
you-
Lady, so you guys have kind of that in common.
You still have that? You still have like do you remember that line that you were famous for, and
Yeah,
then like you're like 25 and you go like I don't know, like I'll look for you, Vicar, or something. I don't know.
Look at his shoes. I remember that we were instructed not to use accents.
Oh really?
We totally just couldn't help
Because
ourselves.
they would have to be Cockney, and what would
Yeah.
little kids really know about Cockney?
Yeah, well, but it was weird to me because the whole play is
about her
accents
accent.
and like analyzing. He goes to part of town. He's like, "You're from this district, and you're from that district, and you're from this street because I can hear it in your voice." And so for us to not use accents just seemed really odd to us. And so we totally ended up doing it anyway. Like, despite not following directions well, which probably explains why I don't think I had any lines the next year. I was like a standard bearer in The Mouse That Roared. We did The Mouse That Roared.
I don't know that one.
The Mouse That Roared is about like there's like this tiny little country that decides they're going to declare war on America in order to then surrender
invaded
and get reparations from America.
There's a movie about this.
Yeah,
there is actually
it's
a
probably
movie.
the
Yeah.
same. It's probably the same
It's
thing.
probably based off of at least.
Yeah. The Mouse That Roared is an old play that does this, and the general is like too dumb to be in on the plan. Like he doesn't realize that they're just immediately supposed to surrender, and he really thinks that they're going to war with America.
That's funny.
And then they end up, spoiler, they end up winning because they get their hands on a nuke.
On the nuke, yes.
They get their hands
this is
on,
exactly that
They
movie.
get their hands on a nuke, and he's like, if anyone comes here, I'm gonna smash it and just nuke everybody. So yeah, the whole plan kind of backfires. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then my senior year, I actually bailed out of drama because, like, I wasn't getting any good roles or anything. I was like, you know what, I'll try something different. I went to journalism instead of drama that year. And then that year, they like had so few people that like everybody got a leading role.
Gotcha.
And my teacher was like, if you'd stayed, you would have got one. I reviewed it instead. For the paper.
Did you do a good review?
Yeah, was it a good review or a bad review?
Yeah, it was a good review.
It was a good review.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was well written, but I gave them a good review.
But I mean, yeah,
I gave them a good review.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Do you use big words like this company brings the magic to theater that we all love and cherish? And
Were
I
any of those
really
big
recommend,
words?
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. See, I'm bad at improv. I was doing improv.
Yeah.
I
I thought you were leading into the fact like that you were going to lead up to propinquity.
Propinquity.
It sounded like
it
sounded like you were building to it.
Cut it.
Damn
Let's go back.
You wanna try and build it?
I'm fine.
You
I
wanna
just
try
like
and
I
build it?
won't
You don't
do
wanna
it.
retake
I
it?
won't be. I mean, I'm bad at improv.
Apparently.
Yeah.
You weren't in the club.
I know. Did you ever like? This is my. I'll ask you a question. Was that considered geeky? Was that considered? Did you get bullied or like people were like, oh, this is the guy from the improv club?
No, I didn't get.
It never happened. Anything like that?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, the sports. And we had I feel like we didn't have any sports kids in ours. There were like sports kids in the musicals and stuff.
Oh,
the
nice.
musicals had a lot of money. Like parents really got in on helping fund the musicals at my school, and the drama had like nothing. It was just like
It was dramatic.
rinky-dink operation compared to the musicals. They put on like a big flashy show for the musical, and like, you know, we were lucky we got the stage.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun though. Yeah, I feel like other groups were just other groups. You know, we didn't get picked on for it. Nothing like that.
Not in high school.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody's just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
We had a lot of, just had fun with it. What about you?
Your theater?
Well, tell us about the
experiences.
Venezuelan.
I cannot remember except for one thing that happened one time that we have done or I have done in school, theater beyond non-original. We didn't have theater classes. We didn't have theater groups. There were a couple of extracurricular things that you could do in high school, and I was basic like there were like two things in high school, and one of them was the science club, which I founded, and then at some point
that's nerdy.
and then but we never did anything. I mean, there was no culture to do that. So eventually we proposed, and then the school was like, yeah, do it, whatever. You want a classroom? There's a classroom. What are you gonna do? And then it was an excuse to just get with your friends. So we never really did anything with
no
it.
experiments?
No, that's the thing. I mean, like I was part of something called the Bolivarian Society, which is like, you know, Bolivar is our Washington, as a version of our Washington.
Bolivar,
So some schools will have a Bolivarian Society, which is kids that will come together and then talk about history and stuff like. And I was the only member. What? So at the end of the day,
That's so sad.
it is sad.
Oh,
I mean,
just Jose.
and then, you know, like
Hi,
at this,
Bolivar.
yeah. And the thing is that because I was part of the Bolivarian, you know, like society, you were supposed to do something for the school. So I would prepare these speeches and then just give them at the beginning of the week. I was like all full nerd. Like I would just go like the country needs this and this and that and all that. And then, you know, it was like
soapbox.
at the beginning of the day. They will line all the students will be in the patio, and then we will sing national anthem. They will raise the flag, and then in order they will all go to their classrooms. So there was a small window of time for announcements, and then after the announcement, it was like, now the Bolivarian, you know, society has something to say, and I will take like 20 minutes, and the teacher was like, no, you can't do that. We need to go to class. And I will be like, you going back speech and stuff. It happened like 2-3 times, and then they shut it up. Shut it up.
Did any of your policies help
yeah,
affect?
no,
the
I mean,
Venezuelan
and
government?
then maybe
It's like a
spy freaking
14-year-old
Chavez, like
kid.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Chavez
then
heard
This kid's got some ideas.
the science club, actually, the science club, I came up with this idea of recycling. I came up with this idea of recycling.
You invented recycling.
I told the school, we should separate metals, plastic, like
Paper.
glass and paper. And then they go like, how you want to do it? And I said like, well, we're gonna buy 3 different containers with color coded, and then we're gonna have volunteers from the first grade of high school to the last grade of high school, and then they will have 3 ranks, and then each rank will have a specific helmet, and then they will be in charge of one of these bins. And it was pretty. It never worked. We bought the hats, we bought the bins,
Aw.
but then nobody was
Nobody
enforced. We
wanted
didn't
to.
have support to enforce it, so eventually never went anywhere.
Yeah.
But I haven't think about this in years, and I was pretty proactive in that. Like it was like it didn't work, but
Where
it
did
makes me
you
feel-
get the idea
But
for
theater.
Where did you get the idea for the recycling? Like what made you want to do it?
Did
you see it somewhere,
I think,
or like what?
No. It's just like there's no culture of recycling in Venezuela. I mean, I don't know right now. Being out of Venezuela for 7
Had to
years,
come
I don't know.
somewhere.
It's like, but I mean, of course, we knew about what recycling was, and
Must
then
have
we had a
recycling
science.
plants.
We had a science club, but we didn't have any sort of guidance. So I can create an experiment. I don't know. I was a student, so the easiest thing was like, why don't we just do recycling? Which is pretty like there's no explanation for it. You put paper here, you put plastic there. The interesting thing is that we never thought about what to do with them after, because there was like, of
So
course,
you
no
would
recycling.
recycle.
There's no recycling, so everything will go to the same pile of garbage.
I thought that's how this story originally was going to end. That you guys like started to do it. And
Oh,
put it
I
into
mean, I
each
don't know.
bin,
I honestly
and then
don't-
it just went into the same.
I mean,
trash
there
bin.
are metal scrap places, and then you could probably send the metal somewhere. But I never thought that way ahead, because I didn't know. I was expecting the support from adults and say, like, okay, we're gonna take this, we're gonna do like it was like they keep planning everything. I bought the helmets, I bought the whole thing. I was the only one wearing and then I gave my friends helmets. And then it's like we would exercise authority that we didn't have. It was crazy. I mean, it was fun.
So about the
But the theater,
yeah.
When we got to the last 2 years of high school, the last 3 years of high school, then the Spanish class, which is like the version of like English here, was the one that introduced theater. They were talking about theater and all stuff, and then because they were talking about like different forms of expression, like books, novels versus this and that, and then they talk about theater, which is written first.
Yeah.
And then the teacher started talking about the theater, the absurd theater. Eugene Ionescu, I think it was like
Yeah,
the guy who
Ionescu.
started
Yeah.
that. And I loved the idea. I loved it. Like he was talking about how the absurd theater would just be that, would be absurd, and then dialogue would make no sense, and then a person would just walking and then drop to the floor, and then it was a couch, and then the other person will just use it as a couch, and then for the next scene he was just a couch. And then there was like the first ever absurd theater was called the Bald Singer, the bald,
Yeah.
like
Bald,
bald,
okay.
the Bald Singer,
Sort of.
and then it's I just didn't know.
But
And
I thought I meant bold as in courageous.
Yes.
That, I'm glad you.
and
I just speak Jose.
yes, he speaks me. So I found it fascinating, and then I told the teachers like, can we have theater? Can one of the things that we do is theater? And then he enforced it. He was like, okay, then everybody has to do a play. Separates into three or four different groups, and everybody has to bring a play. And then you could either take something that was already done, or you could write something original. And I was like, I want to write absurd theater. and then I did 2 plays. One of them was based on it's called The Discovery, and we built a cardboard whole ship from like one of the Columbus ships, and I played Columbus, and I was wearing tights and a cape and stuff. Like my mom and all the moms, they went crazy with the costumes and all the stuff. And then it was kind of a parody of how we got to America. Like the whole point is that Columbus gets to America. He discovers the whole continent. I mean, this is just me trying to remember because I wrote it, and then it was like I wrote it and directed it.
Right.
Columbus gets to America, and he finds that it's the new continent. He finds gold. He finds like beautiful Indians and all the stuff, and then he wants to name the continent Colombia. And then he starts struggling. There's this superhero that shows up with a super dog or something. I start mixing like that. That's when it gets absurd.
It gets absurd.
And then everybody's fighting to name the continent. So then suddenly it's Columbus, and then this superhero who wants to call it like super something, whatever. And then the whole play ends when Americo Vespuccio comes, which is where America comes from. It's like
What's the name?
Americo Vespuccio.
Vespuccio.
And he was the first guy who actually did the maps of America, and then he named it.
In
And then
the US we call him Vespucci.
Vespucci, exactly, Americo Vespucci. And then the whole thing is that they needed the Indians were like, we are natives, so we should name it. We should be the ones who name it. And then they were all looking for this treasure, and whoever finds the treasure, and we actually dig a hole and put a big thing on and then we actually have like half an hour of the play with just like digging it out.
That's so amazing.
And then at the end of the play, Americo Vespuccio comes, and then he comes with the deeds to America, and he goes, I just went to the notary and registered it. And then it was like, oh well, it was like, we should have done that. And then everybody it was fun. There is this guy called Rodrigo de Triana, which is the guy who saw America and yelled for the first time, land. And then that's when that, and then we made him French. So we made him French with a lisp. So he will say land, but in Spanish land is tierra.
Yeah.
And then he will say tierra, and everybody will think like it's very close to shed in Spanish. So everybody will be like, why are you saying shed? It's like, and then Columbus was like are people throwing their shit out of the board of the side of the ship? And he's like, no, it's land. And it was like the whole funny thing with him being French, and I don't know. It was
Great. That's great.
That was one.
What was the other one?
That was one. Then the next year, of course, it was such a success, the thing, that the teacher was like, because we used to have like sometimes the same teacher for two different
multiple years, yeah.
And then he commissioned another one. He was basically like, do another one. And I go like, well, absurd theater is working for us. So I wrote this story, and this is the one. This one, the first one that I told you, we just played once. Mm-hmm. This second one, we played 5 times.
Oh wow!
Because we played it once at the school, then the school asked us to play it for the entire school. Because if it was only for a class, then they asked us to play for the entire school. And then the teachers that we have, they taught on other schools, and they toured us to 3 different schools. To play it on 3 different schools, and this one we went all overboard. Like we did like costumes and
You wrote
stuff.
this one too, right?
Yeah, I wrote and direct again.
Right.
And sometimes I forget that I was, like sometimes I feel like, oh, how did I end up being a filmmaker? And then I forget that I used to do things like this. So this one was there was this. It was kind of vignettes or sketches. Mm-hmm. And then I have my theater company, or like everybody separated into 2 different groups. While one group was acting, the other one was getting ready, and then they would switch because there was a costume change, and then because there were 4 different scenes. And it started in ancient Greece with the only 2 female philosophers that were in ancient Greece, and then everybody was like, "Oh, you're a female, you shouldn't be a philosopher." And then and then they were all like, "We're marginalized because we're women, but we are philosophers." And then there was this thing that was happening in the universe that they sensed that there was something out of balance. And then like since the beginning of history, we were trying to fix it. And then these 2 girls go like, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna climb Mount Olympus, and we're gonna talk to the gods, and then we're gonna find out what is happening to the universe. And then they keep climbing mountains, but they keep messing up. So they climb the Himalayas, and then they find like this monk, this like what's it called?
Tibetan monk.
This Tibetan monk, and he goes like, no, this is not Olympus. You missed the mountain. And then he would just flash them and stuff. Then they climb the Romanian Carpaths, and then they find Dracula, and he goes like, no, this is not. There's no gods here. So they keep climbing the wrong mountain, and then
meeting
because
different people at the
exactly
top.
meeting different people, and then eventually they finally climb Olympus, and then there's this guy just sitting in a rock and stuff, and they go like, where's the gods? There's no gods. There's like, but what is so important about this mountain and stuff? And then the thing was that people would say that there was a big something important in the mountain, and then back then, but this is just completely no, like Venezuelan. We have by that moment we had exchange control, which meant that you cannot buy foreign currency without government permission, and the inflation can making our currency devaluate even more and more and more. So this was a guy who will sell you dollars at the old price. You know, it was basically like, I'm here, and then let's say like the price of dollar was like 300 bolívares by the day, and this guy would sell it at 50. So everybody was like, oh my God, I want to, like, this is why Mount Olympus is so great, because you can buy dollars cheaper. Then from that story,
political,
yes,
feminist,
then
all these different things. Yeah.
Then from that story, then they will go
I
out.
can't believe I've never heard these.
I mean, I
before.
haven't thought about this in years. I mean, I probably have the script somewhere back in Venezuela. Then, and just to make it short, because there's three more sketches. There was another one that included
like another
a pirate.
Play?
There was
another
a pirate.
different play?
Yes, no, not different play. It was
just within
the same play. Had
play.
4 different sketches.
Oh, okay.
That lead into what was wrong with the universe, why the universe is out of balance, and then things start mixing. This is why, like, Greeks will go to the Carpathians or Romania, like things will make no sense, but they will be aware of. They will be like, we're not supposed to be here. Something is wrong. Something is messing with the universe. So then there was this pirate called Roldan. And Roldan, I don't know how to translate it in English. It's like the whipper, the guy who has a whip and whips you. You know, like Roldan the whipper. And it was a friend of mine who was just very extroverted, and he would just play this guy like very like flamboyant and stuff like that. And then he was plundering the Caribbean. And then the three major European powers that control the Caribbean, French, the Spanish, and the English, they were after him. So they couldn't rely on their army, so they sent Napoleon, they sent Columbus, and they sent like 3, and from the British, I don't remember who, I think it was Prince Charles or something. Like we sent like these three guys, and then they would sail on a ship, and they would be like the 3 stooges, just being stupid in the ship, trying to find this pirate. And then they will find the pirate, but then they will have to collaborate with him, because they found this island where there was supposed to be a treasure, and the only way to find the treasure is like for people to collaborate and follow the instructions. And the instructions, there was this famous popular song that I don't even remember the singer or something like that, but basically it was like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps. That's the song. The song will go like that, and people will dance to that. So then they will read it, and it will be 3 steps forwards, 2 steps back, and then before you know it, the music starts playing, and they start dancing to the tune, and then they find the thing, and then they dig it out, and it's like, and it was the treasure that will save humanity, and it was condoms. It was all condoms, because, you know, like everybody was like diseases and stuff,
and practicing safe
and
sex.
then, and I remember they almost shut us down because the principal and everything, they were like they were very involved with the church, and they were not happy with the idea of teenagers talking about condoms and stuff like that. But you know, but some of them
still got to go to different schools.
and they kept it. They kept the thing, and then we just give people condoms and stuff.
That's so funny.
Yes, it was crazy.
This is so South American to do. Like, it's so like anti-establishment, and like it's so South American.
Then there was one with Robin Hood. There was Robin Hood and Little John, and there was 2 friends of mine, and we actually did a full choreography with swords. We have those. You know what a pincho is? Pincho is like it's a stick. It's a metal stick where you put meat, and then you put it to roast.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually you just
it's like
exactly. And then you just put it on a plate and then serve people like that. So these things are technically swords.
Yeah.
I have no idea
They're deadly.
how our parents let us do. So we will use these things to sword fight, and then we will use the top of pots, pot
Yeah.
as shields. And actually, this scar that I have here
There was scar
is
from
because
it?
somebody trusted. I blocked it, and the thing just went through it and cut my finger completely. It was like I have battle
You
scars.
could have died.
I have battle scars from that. So I created this whole choreography that ended with the scene where Luke Skywalker just like bashes on Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And eventually cuts his hand,
Yeah.
like at the end.
Yeah.
So basically it was Robin Hood and Little John, and then they find Darth Vader, and then he has to fight Darth Vader. And Darth Vader has this like stupid, I don't know, like henchman. I don't even remember who it was. and then eventually it ends being actually choreographed sword fighting, which Darth Vader disarms Robin Hood, and then is about to kill him. And then from the other side, and I don't know how we always managed to get it right. From the other side of the room, his squire will toss a sword. He will catch the sword and stop, and then kind of like thrusting, and it always worked. Like it was like I don't know, like still no mistakes. And then at the end of the thing, they were trying to find some sort of device that was supposed to be causing these, and the Empire wanted it to control the universe, and Robin Hood wanted it to just free everybody. And then when they find the device, it was Pinky and the Brain behind the whole thing. Like the whole play ends when it's Pinky and the Brain, and then I had two guys dressed as Pinky and the Brain, just going like, "Oh, we fail again," whatever. They got the thing, and then this like it was crazy. It was freaking great. It was like, but it was fun, and kind of crying.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
This has led to what your film career is.
I mean,
now.
this is why. You know me. This is why I'm like.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
I don't know if this is why,
It
but
proves so much that this is how you always.
I'm sorry. I spoke for like half an hour, but it's like.
That's right. We will wrap up. That was great. I love
Thank you.
those plays. I want to.
I haven't thought of that.
Did you record any of them? Probably not.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't really know.
dig
And I'm pretty sure. I'm
should dig 'em up.
forgetting many things. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there was
That's
another
what I have at
sketch.
the time.
What if I remember the sketch? I'll say it.
Like the channel if you like this episode. Share it with your friends. Please subscribe if you enjoyed any of our stories about.
Subscribe on YouTube and iTunes.
Yes, do both. We want to get to 500 still.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Milestone.
Yeah, I don't know if we've made it by now. I'm wondering if it'll just suddenly skyrocket at one point.
It will.
It will.
It will.
Yeah, come on back. If you want to reach out to us directly, you can find me on Twitter at JohnInParadox. You can find Briana
At B Redmount.
You can find me at Jose in Paradox. And with that said, friends from the future, goodbye from the past.